Hey everybody, so welcome back for my top 100 that I'm doing for this in the year 2023. I'm now on 30 to 21. There's been a bit of a gap. Life got a little bit busy. I started new work. We had Easter. My son changed schools. So haven't got to this in a little while. So let's get this done though. And then, I mean, we're so close. We're at the top 21 after this one, so only two more to go after this, and we're getting in the really good games. So let's get into it. In my number 30 position, I have Happy Pigs. So Happy Pigs is an economic game, and it's a fairly robust economic game, and it looks so cartoony and so childish, but this is not a kid's game. We really enjoy it, and I gotta say, my teenage boys, this is one that nobody fights to play, and they recommend it when it's like, oh, what should we play? Happy Pigs comes up fairly regularly, and the way that it works. Okay, first of all, artwork super cute, and everything is cube, and maybe that's why they enjoy it so much because it reminds them of their Minecraft days. But everything is cute in cubes, super cute, and this, if you look at this one, has the expansion that added just extra tiles with extra animals, and that's the only thing that added to this. The base game is just pigs. The expansion has cows and sheeps and chickens, and it's just it's just adorable. But what's interesting with this one is, so you're buying and selling pigs, and trying to, at the end of the game, is whoever has the most money is the winner. Now, you can't just buy and sell because the value of the pigs themselves don't change that much throughout the game. So you gotta, make sure that you breed them, that you grow them, you feed them, and you get them big, and then you kind of sell and make the profit then and kind of start all over again. And in order to do that, you got to make sure you have enough space in your pen, and you might have to expand and buy more pen, and you're going to have feed. To feed to them so that they'll get bigger. You'll need to have vaccine, because if you ever have a pig that goes through all the way through the season of December, or the Christmas or winter, I can't talk. So if you get to winter and they're not vaccinated, they won't last a winter. They'll die. And that's when you get that little band-aid on them, because they've been vaccinated. They have a band-aid. It's so neat. What's really cool with it too is the action selection. On your turn, you can decide if you're going to breed your pig, if you're going to feed your pig, if you're going to go to the market to buy something, or if you're going to go to the market to sell something. So there's 4 different actions that you can do, and you have your tiles that decides what the action be. Like, okay, I'll be doing this action, and every round a new tile comes up, says, okay, these are the actions available. 7, there can be 7 feeding, there can be 5 purchase, there can be 8 breeding, or whatever that the different is. So you're going to put the tile that you decide you want to do. Everybody reveals if you've picked that you're going to feed your pigs, and everybody and other people selected that as well. So let's say there's 2 of you and there was 7 available. One of you's getting 4 feed, one of you's getting 3. So you may not be able to feed your whole herd. And it's so interesting. So kind of push, it's like, okay, I'm gonna sell. Gosh, I wanted to sell more. I can only sell 3. That's too bad. So mitigating all that makes this game so interesting. So that was my number 30, Happy Pigs. In number 29 position, I have Awkward Guests. I played this one the first time at Gobfest last year in Edmonton, and after I played it, I was like, okay, I need this one. So I got looking for it and ended up buying my own secondhand copy. Friends of mine were selling it, and then I drove. I was like, hey, I am driving to you and I'm coming to get this game. It was so good. Now, if you enjoy Clue, which I do, this is an kind of elevated version of this, because everybody gets, well, I'll show you. So you'll get your little hiding thing, and you get your your sheet that shows the mansion. This guy got killed. It's always in the same location, and you have all these different characters that are also there, and there's all these different weapons that are scattered throughout the house. So maybe there's poison in the shed, maybe there's tools in the garage, or there'll be knives in the kitchen, and so there's all sorts of different weapons that can be found around the house. So if the guest was sitting in the living room, and but the weapon is a rope that was found in the garage, well, do you know the living room guests were probably not the murderer, because they would have had to go all the way there and then all the way back, and it's normally a straight line. So you know they're not the culprit. But what's really interesting with this is you get cards at the beginning of each round, and you start looking at the cards. And in Clue, you would get like, okay, I have a picture of the rope. I know it's not the rope. This isn't like this. You have a card that'll say something in there. It's like, the coroner determined that he didn't die of blunt force trauma. So then you go and look through all the weapons, and then whatever has like a blunt weapon, you know that wasn't it, so you can cross all of those off. So it's not just a picture, there's like actual clues you got to figure out. And you know, it's like, oh, so and so claims that they were together in the living room. Okay, so then you have that. Now, the murderer can lie, the others won't. You know, so that's interesting and kind of make things a little trickier as well. So you have all of this. Then at the end of your turn, on your turn, you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to trade some clues. I want to know about the kitchen and this individual. And then everybody's going to go through their clues and see what they have that has a clue in regards to that. And then they're going to make you an offer. It says, okay, well, I can offer you clues that has a value of 4. Okay, and then the other one, I have clues for the value of 3, and so on. So as you get all these offers, you're going to decide whether you're going to take the offer or not. So if you want the clue that's a value of 4, you're going to have to take clues out of your hand that has a value of 4. Some have value of 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can combine. So I'll give them 2 level 2 clues, and then I'll take the clues of a value of 4, and then you get new information. Ah, that's interesting, and then you take note. So you trade with all the other players. And then at the end of once everybody's had a turn, you discard down to a few cards. That gets discarded, new cards come out, and then you take note of the new clues. You trade again. So there'll be clues you may not see. Now this game has, I think it's 200 cards that are in this game. There's an app that you can utilize to do a scenario, and it'll go through saying, okay, pull out all of these cards that will create the scenario. So there's a lot of setup to it, just pulling out the cards, but it is worth it. This game is so much fun. So that's my number 29, Awkward Guests. In number 28 position, I have Legends of Novus. This is by far my favorite fantasy game. I played this one when it first came out in its prototype form. It went to Kickstarter. I got a copy, actually from a friend. He got me a copy. And I just love how this works. In high school, I loved reading fantasy novels. So the Robert Jordan, the Wheel of Time, the Sword of Truth, and all those series. And this gives me that feeling. When I play this game, it's like I'm right back in the book. You know, when you have a book at the first page, it's always the map of where the story takes place, and that's your board game. There's a big map of this world, and that's where you are going to be playing. You all start at the one time. All the characters come from a different home city or whatever, and you're going to be traveling. Now if you make it into that location, you have kind of special ability that you can do there because this is your hometown. Now as you're traveling from location to location, you're going to roll the dice for travel dice and see what comes up. It's like, okay, well, there's an encounter, so you're going to take a card from the encounter card, and oh, you came across this giant spider. Now you have to battle the giant spider, so you take your d20 dice, and then somebody else will roll for the spider and see if you're able to defeat it. Now you'll take the value of your dice plus any of the armor you've collected, because you can also come across items as you're traveling. So it's like, oh, okay, great, I found some boots, that's great, gives me this. Or I found like an axe, that's great, it gives me this. Now not all items are going to work for you, because depending on your breed or your faction, some of the stuff you can equip, some of the stuff you can't. Now, if you can't equip them, that's perfectly fine. You keep them. Next time you're in a city, you can sell those goods for gold, and then you have gold to do different things as you travel across this world. It is such like a fantasy adventure. I adore this game. So that's my number 28, Legends of Novus. In number 27 position, I have Quarriors. This one is impressive to me. The first time I played it, I had played deck building games. I had never played dice bag building games, but it has the same feel as a deck building game. So you're going around, you have some dice that you start with, they're in a bag, you'll pull out so many and you roll them. Some of the things you roll is going to give you like a minor monster that you can put into attacking, or you'll have some that allow you to buy more dice. So you have all these dice in the middle of the board that you can purchase from. It's like, okay, well, I have enough to buy this dice, I'll buy this dice, and it goes in the bag, or in your discard, and eventually it'll go in your bag when you need to roll more dice. So just like deck building. But instead of having just, okay, I have this card does this, it's more like, okay, I have this card that can do this or this, depending on what you roll. So it kind of has more possibilities as well. And it's like, okay, this one could be very powerful. And then you roll and it just gives you one purchase. It's like, that could have been so much better. But then you might be able to buy spell cards that allows you to mitigate those dice a little bit. And then at the end of your turn, you battle with anything that's around you. And then if at the beginning of your turn, your dice is still there, you score points. And then whoever reaches, I think it's like 15 or 19 points first, wins the game. It is so cool. It is so satisfying to play all those custom dice. There's so many dice to play. And then, just like Dominion, which is a deck building game, there's different ones you would bring out every round. So there's different dice, and each dice will have different sets of cards that will give them different power. But then there's also multiple dice, so you're not always going to bring all of them out. So every time you play, it'll be a little different. Plus, there's expansion. So I have 2 sets of Quarriors now. I haven't played my new one. I just got it recently. So now I have that many more dice as well that I'm able to play with. So exciting. And that was my number 27, Quarriors. In number 26 position, I have Clank. Clank is an amazing game. So it's a deck building dungeon crawl. And that was an interesting concept. That was the first time I saw that combination when I played this game. So you have cards, and what's really cool with it is you'll have cards that allow you to move. You'll have cards that allow you to attack, and you'll have cards that allow you to purchase more cards. And then you'll have cards that'll make you clank, which is what the name is based on. So you're moving around and you're making too much noise, and it's causing you to make some noise. And when you're in the dungeon and there's a dragon that's sleeping and you're trying to steal some of the treasures that are down there, you're trying to do this as quietly as possible so that the dragon is not aware of you being there. So when you play a clank card, you've made some noise, and you got to take some of your clank cubes and put them in the middle in this kind of holding area. Then at some point, something will cause the dragon to attack. And when that comes up, sometimes it'll be a card that'll have the symbol on it, or if you steal one of the artifacts, it's going to cause the dragon to attack as well. So all of these things going to happen. Then you take all the dice, or the cubes that's been accumulated so far, it goes in the bag. Now some of the cubes in there are black cubes for the dragon, so if you pull a black cube, nothing happens. If you pull one of the player's cube, well, that player has made too much noise. The dragon's found them and he's attacked, and it's caused some damage, so you add that to your damage to your life track, right? If you ever get to the skull, then you've perished. And if you die when you're underground, you're game over, you score nothing. If you die when you're above ground in the castle, the villagers will come and save you to get the treasures, so you do get to score some points. Ideally, you go down, you accumulate as much treasures as you can, you make your way out, and you make your way out of the castle. Neat game, so satisfying. This is one that always goes over well. And that's my number 26, Clank. In number 25 position, I have Pandemic. Pandemic was just such a surprise for me. When the first time I played it with my brother, I was blown away by this. This is such a good game. And it was the first time I've played a co-op game. And I was impressed. I was like, so there's these 4 diseases that are spreading across the world, and if it gets out of control, then it'll create outbursts, and then there'll be more, or outbreaks, and then there'll be more. And then if it gets out of control, that you've had too many outbreaks, or if you run out of a certain disease that you can't put more out when you need to, you lose the game. There's a lot of ways to lose the game. But if you're able to find a cure for all 4 diseases, you win the game. And in order to do that, you need to get the cards that will have, the same location, for the same location, be at that location to submit the cure. Because each section kind of have their own disease that's kind of taking over in that area. So if you get 4 of the yellow location cards and you're one of those cards and you can submit your cure, then you found the vaccine. And now you're able to get rid of the disease easier if you need to, but at least you've got the cure. If you get all 4 cures, you win the game, and you're trying to do that before one of the end game triggers. Oh, you also lose the game if you go through the whole deck before you've cured the disease. Oh, this game is satisfying, and I love it. And every time I play, it's just so fun. I was working in pharmacy background, so this was neat with that as well. One time I played with a pharmacist friend of mine. I was like, oh, great, you're a pharmacist. We should win this. No problem. We lost in 2 rounds somehow. So I was like, oh my God. Okay, let's try again. But it's one of those that will often get that. It's like, okay, let's go again. Now, what's great with Pandemic 2 is they've got a lot of other variation of the game, like a lot of them, and I really like them as well. So in my number 25 position, I'm including all the Pandemics game I've played. So far I've played the Rapid Response, which makes it into a real-time dice rolling game, and you just kind of get that speed and that pressure, and then you're trying to roll, and you're on a plane dropping off kind of care package for other cities and countries and trying to help them deal with these diseases. So you'll go and send food and medicine, and then you go there and you send, but you don't want to get bogged down with garbage on your plane, so you got to keep that under control. Like, it's a very interesting game. I've also played and really enjoyed Reign of Cthulhu. So it's the Pandemic game, but the map is a couple of cities, and you have, like, instead of disease spreading, it's cultists that are spreading. And if there are ever too many cultists, they'll kind of call in this demon, and then if this demon makes it to a gate, then he'll awaken an old one. And with this one, this is the version that I have lost the fastest every time. It's such a difficult one to win, but oh my God, it's satisfying to play. And then I've also played Pandemic Rising Tide, and there's a flood, and you got to go from location to location, and you're putting out sandbags trying to keep the water under control. And if the water floods too much, then you lose some areas. And that was a really neat version of the Pandemic as well. And I also have Pandemic The Cure, which is again with dice, but it's not the real time, and it's kind of, you can take more time into deciding what you want to do, and then dice will come out, and you got to try to roll and find the cures for the disease. All these versions are amazing. There's still a lot more that I haven't played. Contagious, The Lab, I think. There's Iberia that I've heard amazing things. So I want to play more of these Pandemics, because this series is just so good, and each of the ones I've played so far are different enough to give it a whole different spin that is completely satisfying, but still has that kind of same mechanism. So it's great. In number 24 position, I have Word Slam. Oh my God, this game is so much fun. This is a party game. There's no questions about that. This is a party game. You can play as many players as you want. You just separate into 2 teams. And what's going to happen is one on each team is going to be the clue giver of that round. They're going to look at a card together that has a list of words, and they'll pick which word they're going to be trying to describe for that round. And then once they start, they're going to go through a pile of cards, because there's a pile of cards that exactly the same for each side. Some will have adjectives, some will have different describing words that you go through and say, okay, so in this example we had do, play, object, small circle, fast, and head. I don't remember what the word was, but they keep adding different letters and you're trying to figure out what is the word we're trying to guess from these, and it makes it very interesting because it's not always straightforward. This is such a satisfying game to play. Every time we play this one, we have a blast. It is so good. I played it the one time and then I went and hunted this one down because it was such a neat game. That's my number 24 word slam. Then in number 23 position, I have Mystic Vale. Mystic Vale is gorgeous. So it's a card crafting game, and what's going to happen is you start with 20 cards. Push your luck as well, but you start with 20 cards, and as you play, you're going to reveal your cards. They're all sleeved, and then you're going to reveal. It could be that it's blank, there's nothing in that one. Could be that there's a little something in it. Some of that, and then the blue orbs are going to give you purchasing power, so that's great. You want those because that's how you will improve the value of your cards. Sometimes your card's going to have a decay symbol on it, which is not good, but it's okay. So you reveal one decay symbol and you decide, am I going to keep going? You're okay as long as you don't go above 3. It's okay, I keep going. So you flip another card, great, another decay, but you only have the one blue orb. You can't really buy anything with that, so you got to keep going. So you flip over, okay, I got another blue orb. I can purchase by 2 now, but I've got 3 decays. Do I reveal the next card? If it's another decay, I bust. So, or do I stop there? And it's like, well, maybe I won't have another decay. So you flip over, good, no decay, then you can use these cards and then you can do your purchasing round. Or if you reveal a decay, you've bust, you put everything aside. You do have a big token that you flip over, and it does give you an extra purchasing power for having bust gone over this round, so you don't go completely empty-handed. But it's neat. And then you kind of add all these, and then some of these cards will become more powerful. Some of them will start having symbols on it. And then when you have enough symbols, that'll match the cards at the top, and now those are going to be like different cards that you can collect. They'll give you different abilities where they'll allow you to maybe remove a decay, or they'll allow you to have an extra purchasing power, or they'll give you a permanent symbols you can always utilize, and they're all going to be worth victory points as well. So you can start adding those to your hand as well, and purchasing those, purchasing cards that you're going to slide into your sleeve to make your card more powerful. And you can have up to 3, because you'll have the top, the middle, and the bottom portion. So if you draw this one, it's going to be perfect. You can't put it on the here because it's a top. This one already has a top. So you're going to have to add it into another card. And it has to be added to the cards that you've played this round. You can't go through your discard. You can't go through your draw deck. It gets added over here. It is such a neat, fun, satisfying game. I love this one. And that's why Mystic Vale is my number 23. Now in number 22 position, I have Super Motherload. Oh, Super Motherload is another one that I played at a friend's house, and it blew me away. So it's like a steampunk themed. It's deck building, but everybody's got their own deck. So I'm going to be purchasing cards that are my own cards, and they've got different stacks, and then as you purchase, more powerful cards become available underneath. So you want to kind of level up your cards and get more powerful cards in your hand. And you're going to be drilling in this, I don't know if it's even on Earth or where it is, but you're drilling down in this ground. And when you're drilling, you put these black square or rectangular pieces to show how much you've dug. And depending on the type of terrain, maybe you're digging through stone, so you're going to need stronger drills to make it through there. So you have these different cards that are going to give you different abilities of how deep or how type of terrain you can dig through. And then depending on what you cover up with your black square, it's like, okay, I've dug through that. That actually gave me diamonds. So you get diamonds, which are going to give you the ability to purchase new cards and give you points. And you dig through. And once you've dug through to the second level, the top level goes away, you slide that board over and you bring in the third one, so you're deeper down in the depth. And as you like, I thought that was so cleverly done. Such a great game, and that's why Super Motherload is my number 22. Then in number 21 position, so this is the last one for this installment, it's Five Tribes. I had heard of Five Tribes. It's one that made everybody's top list, and it was like, oh, Five Tribes is so good. It's so good, and I had never heard of it. Well, I'd never heard of it. I had never played it myself, and I hadn't really come across it either. So 2 Christmases ago, one of the local store had it for sale, great price. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy that for myself and give it a try. See if it's really what it's all crapped up to be. And it is. This is a good one. So they keep saying that it has like a Mancala mechanism. I had no idea what that meant. So what will happen is you'll take the meeples, so there'll be random meeples on each tile, and the tiles are randomly put out, so it's different every time. Then on your turn, you're going to take, let's say there's 4 meeples, you're going to take 4 meeples, and you're going to move 4 spaces, but at each spaces that you pass, you have to leave one of those meeples behind. And where you land has to have meeples there already with a color that matches the meeple that's going to land there as well. So if, let's say there's a blue, a yellow, and 2 reds, and then I've moved and ended up with the blue on that one, I get to activate the blue meeples. And now there's 2 blue meeples, I'll get to do that action 2 times. And I think blue is going to the market. I don't fully remember. But some will allow you to go to the market. Some will allow you to kind of get some genies. Now there's also what is on the tile that'll get you, and then you'll get some control of tiles that you'll put little oases or thing that shows you control that tile now, and that's going to give you points at the end of the game. And you're going around doing these, moving these. It is so good. Now if you ever play with somebody who's got a lot of IP and they take a long time to decide what they want to do, this is not the game to play with them, because there's so much going on. There's so much to figure out. It's like, okay, well, I could take those ones. I can't really. I would like to activate that. Which one could I? Like, maybe those could act. So on your turn, it could take a long time to decide what you're going to want to do, even if you don't have that kind of issues, what takes you normally a long time. So if you play with somebody who normally takes a long time to make decisions, I think this would stretch out this game way, way, way too long. But it's such a good game, and that's why that's my number 21. So be sure to follow me on my podcast. I do a podcast with my friend Carla called The Board Game Specialist. I've already done the top 50, so all of these are on there. So if you want to see what Carla has on hers, make sure you go and visit that one. This was earlier in the year, so you'd have to go back a bit. I am also on Instagram as Mel's_boardgame_room. I also have my Facebook page called Mel's Board Game Room, and my YouTube channel right here called Mel's Board Game Room. So, bye everybody!